Hey everybody, what's going on? Bill from MOTOTIPZ here. Today I'm going to give you 5 tips to avoid being stopped by the police. My first tip to avoid being stopped by the police is to obey the traffic laws. Really simple. Do the speed limit, stop at stop signs, don't run red lights. If you're going to change lanes, do it safely. Simple, follow the rules of the road. If you break the law, you may get stopped by a cop. That's just the way it is. If you're going to speed and take that risk, then you may wind up getting pulled over and you may get a ticket. That's the consequence of breaking the law. So if you don't want to get stopped and get a ticket, obey the laws. Tip number 2 has to deal with your license plate. First off, make sure it's visible. If you are driving around with your plate tucked up under your fender or not on the motorcycle, you're very likely to get stopped. So put the plate in a visible area. If it's at night, it needs to have a light on it. And then the second thing with your license plate is make sure registration is up to date and has the current stickers on it. If you have old stickers on there or you haven't re-registered your motorcycle and renewed it, you're likely to get stopped. So very simple. Register your bike, keep it legal, and make sure the plate's visible. My third tip for not getting stopped by the police is your exhaust. A lot of people, including me, like to modify their exhaust. If you do that and you make it louder and it's modified in most states, it's going to be a violation. So my tips for if you have a loud exhaust and you're driving through a residential area or somewhere else, go in a higher gear than you might normally ride around in. So instead of being in second or third gear, which the bike will do at 40 miles an hour here, but it's going to make a lot more noise in second gear, I'm just kind of cruising around in fourth gear. Alright, it doesn't make as much noise and it keeps the people happy and it keeps me from being stopped. If I'm running through here in a low gear, high RPM, and making a lot of noise, I'm going to draw the attention of law enforcement. And again, if you do that, then it's on you and your risk. If you change the exhaust, you're taking a risk of getting stopped. And like everything else, you have to decide whether or not it's worth it. All right? If you get stopped and get a ticket, you're either going to have to pay the fine or change out the muffler back to stock. So if you want to avoid that from happening, don't rev the crap out of your engine in residential areas. Keep it in a higher gear, keep the sound down, and that'll keep you from getting stopped. Most officers aren't going to pull you over even if you have a modified exhaust if you're just lugging around at 2500 RPMs or something. Your motorcycle is not going to make that much noise and it's not going to draw attention to yourself. My fourth tip for not getting stopped by the police is to make sure everything is legal on your motorcycle. All the equipment is there, all of it's functioning. You're required to have turn signals front and back. They need to be, and each state has a little different rules, but California is either 9 or 13 inches depending on when the motorcycle was made. But generally most cops look at it in California as they need to be wider than the license plate. So if you're running an integrated tail light or headlight with the turn signals built in, that usually does not meet the requirement. So turn signals need to be wider than the license plate, generally is that what the police in California are looking at, and they need to also work. So, and then you have to have a functional headlight, and then mirrors. You're required to have left and right hand mirrors in most states. So I have on the supermoto, I have just these little mirrors on here. At least shows me what's around me and meets the legal requirement. Tip number 5 to avoid getting stopped by the police is don't be a hooligan. So that means no wheelies, no tailgating, no power drifts into a corner. Probably avoid doing knee down through a little neighborhood or something. So just ride normally. If you're doing wheelies, accelerating like crazy, backing the end to a corner, going knee down through an intersection, that may cause you to get stopped. So if you don't want to be stopped, don't drive like a crazy person. There's a time and place to be a hooligan. If you want to do wheelies and stoppies and backing in and stuff, go to the track or find some deserted area where no one is. Don't be doing it through a residential or city area where there are going to be cops around. And if you're doing that stuff, you're going to get stopped. So I'm all about having fun on motorcycles and doing everything they're capable of, but there's a time and place for it. Okay, let's sum up my 5 best tips to avoid getting stopped by the police. Number 1 is obey the traffic laws. Don't speed, don't run stop signs, just follow the law. That will go a long way to keep you from getting stopped. Number 2 is your license plate. Make sure it's visible. It's not tucked under the fender or somewhere the cops can't see it. And also that the registration is up to date and you have the current stickers on there. Number 3 is your exhaust. If you modify your exhaust, you may get stopped. But if you do have modified exhaust, best tip I can give you is use a higher gear and keep the RPMs lower. Number 4 is make sure all the safety equipment on your motorcycle is working and is on the motorcycle. So make sure you have mirrors, make sure you have turn signals, make sure your brake light and headlight work. And number 5 is don't be a hooligan. So on the street, don't do wheelies, stoppies, don't back it in, don't go knee down through an intersection. Those are things that are gonna get you stopped if a cop sees it. So pretty simple. Follow the rules, behave yourself if you don't want to get stopped. If you do any of those things and you wind up getting stopped, then that's on you. It was your risk to take. So if you decide to speed or hide your license plate or not renew your registration or not use turn signals, then that's your choice. I'm not telling you have to do that, but it's just like wearing gear or not wearing gear, it's a risk you have to assume the responsibility for. I hope these 5 tips help. If you like the video, make sure you hit subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll make sure to get back to you. Thanks for watching. Go out and practice. Take a course. Just get out there and ride and have fun. I'll catch you next time.